Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the grand finale of Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 8. Well, after traversing across India's premier B schools, the LIME journey has now reached its last milestone, and now it's getting tough for the contestants to face the challenge. It's not been an easy ride to get here, especially for the three teams who have qualified for the grand finale. Before we introduce the teams, let's take a trip down the memory lane and relive the LIME journey.
8 years of excellence. Participation from top business schools. One mega platform. CNBC TV 18 and Hindustan Unilever present Lessons in Marketing Excellence, India's most definitive business case study challenge. Over the years, LIME has become synonymous with prestige. A hard-fought competition for India's brightest young marketers.
Starts now.
12 campus rounds.
Well-designed traditional carpet.
Core value proposition.
Encourage users, creating awareness.
Targeted ads. Enabling by
celebrity-specific.
Very powerful idea.
A wildcard entry. And a grueling semi-finale.
I'm completely stunned.
Yielding the top 3 teams that make it to the grand finale. The stage is now set for an enthralling battle between India's future business leaders. CNBC TV 18 and Hindustan Unilever present Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 8.
Well, Leo Burnett once said, let's get our advertising to sell our goods, but let's also recognize that advertising has a broad social responsibility. For the final stage of the competition, the contenders had to come up with a marketing solution for a case study of national relevance. Well, before the contestants take center stage today for the competition, I'd like to invite CNBC TV 18's managing editor, Shireen Bhan, to address the gathering on the theme for the grand finale of LIME Season 8.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for joining us here for the 8th season and the grand finale of the Lessons in Marketing Excellence. When we started this journey 8 years ago, I was very, very confident and optimistic that this was something that was going to be mutually beneficial, not just for HUL, but also for CNBC TV 18. The issue that we're discussing today, as Aditi pointed out, is one of national significance and national importance. Let me just flesh that out for you and why it is of such immense importance today. If I were to put numbers your way, you will understand the magnitude of the problem that India is faced with. Let me just quote to you numbers from the economic survey. The tax to GDP ratio currently at about 16.6%. This is well under what we see as far as emerging markets are concerned or other OECD countries. The average there is between 21 and 34%. So that right there is the big challenge that we're faced with. Why do we need to address this problem, and how do we go about addressing this challenge is something that we hope to hear from our three finalists here today. In the long run, if India does need to stay on the line as far as its per capita growth is concerned, then it will need to build its fiscal capacity. And in order for it to build its fiscal capacity, it is going to have to get more people into the tax net. It is going to have to get more people to pay their income tax. So max the tax. That's the challenge that we decided to put forth to our contestants here. And I do hope that we will get some bright ideas from our bright sparks here this evening that the government perhaps can focus their energies on and take forward. And here's wishing our finalists all the very best. May the best team win. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Shireen. Well, today the brightest marketing minds of India have a date with destiny as they get closely scrutinized by our eminent panel of judges. On the jury panel, we have some of the most respected names from diverse fields. Dr. N.K. Singh, former Member of Parliament and Chairman, FRBM Review Committee. Naina Lal Kidwai, Chairman, Max Financial Services. Piyush Pandey, Executive Chairman and Creative Director, Ogilvy and Mather, India and South Asia. Well, we also have with us 3 marketing leaders from HUL, Sudhir Sitapati, Geetu Verma and Priya Nair. Of course, from Network 18, Shireen Bhan and Joy Chakraborty, President Revenue, Network 18 and CEO, Forbes India. Thank you, esteemed jury members. I assure you that you'll have a tough day ahead of you as these 3 finalist teams make their presentations. But before that, may I now please request Sanjeev Mehta to kindly come on stage, Managing Director and CEO, Hindustan Unilever, and address the audience. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, dear students. Absolutely delighted to be here to welcome you to the finale of the season 8 of LIME. LIME from Hindustan Unilever and CNBC was conceived to bring the passion of the youth, the intellect of the youth, and the creativity of the youth to address some of the big problems facing our nation. In the last 8 years, we have addressed some big issues. And this year again, we have a fantastic subject. I think as a nation, we have to move on from the default mindset of tax evasion to where there is an element of pride in contributing to the national exchequer. It should go beyond just the legal obligation to a national duty and a pride. Only then we will be in a position where our tax to GDP ratio would move up, where we will be able to invest significant amount of money to alleviate the livelihoods, the conditions of still millions of Indians who are below the poverty line. And today I'm really looking forward to some very creative ideas coming from perhaps some of the best young minds we have in the country. I want to wish all of you the best, but may the real great team amongst you win the contest today. All the best, and let's have fun.
It's time to kickstart the competition. Like Shireen mentioned in her address, the case study challenge for LIME Grand Finale is Max the Tax. So let us quickly encapsulate the case once again through this AV.
Tax is a cost we incur for development. It's not a burdening liability, but the price of nation building. But only 1% of Indians pay income tax. It's time to change that. A wider tax base is in national interest and a duty that citizens must discharge. But getting Indians to believe that paying income tax is not just an obligation, but an act that will be beneficial to them is a challenge. This year, the finalists of LIME Season 8 will address that very challenge. What strategies can be deployed to increase the number of income tax-paying citizens to 5 crores by the end of next fiscal? Can India's tax base grow 5 times by March 2018? Find out as India's brightest young minds present their solutions on the grand finale of CNBC TV 18 and Hindustan Unilever present Lessons in Marketing Excellence, Season 8.
Well, that task definitely looks quite challenging. It'll be interesting to find out rather how the contenders of LIME Season 8 are going to tackle this. Let's call upon the first team for their presentation on stage, Venus 003 from IIM Indore. Can we please have you on stage for your presentation? Let me take you through the rules quickly. You have exactly 5 minutes to finish your presentation, after which the buzzer will sound out. After this, you will engage in a question-answer round with the judges. Good luck, and your time starts now.
Good evening, everyone. In India, only 1% of the population pays tax. In our analysis of previous campaigns, we wanted to understand the focus of the campaign, identify the emotions targeted, and draw key learnings. We found that the focus was mainly on explaining compliance rules and consequences of tax evasion. The major emotions used were fear and patriotism. But we found that fear cannot drive voluntary tax payment, and transparency results in an increase in the taxpayer base. For primary research, we interviewed 87 people and we arrived on 5 insights. With so much subsidy distribution, there is no payback for me. Once I come under the tax purview, I'll be kept under a strict eye for every year. People around me earn much more and do not pay. Why should I only bear the burden? The system is highly corrupt and there is no information about where the money is being spent. If I pay 30%, how will I afford to support my family with such exorbitant fees of private schools and hospitals? So we segmented the current and potential taxpayer based on the basis of 2 factors. 1, level of compliance. 2, awareness of tax rules and its importance. We identified 5 segments: altruistic compliers, rationalizers, forced compliers, negligents, and skeptics.
Of these, we choose to target skeptics and rationalizers. Skeptics are those who do not want to part with their hard-earned money and lack trust in the government. Rationalizers are the ones who do not pay tax because they feel the need to save money for other situations. These people are mostly traders, property brokers, shopkeepers, entrepreneurs, doctors, private tutors, and so on. The primary reason why these segments do not pay tax is insecurity. The insecurity that when things go south, government won't be there to help them. So they try to save every paisa and think of tax as another cost. So a big idea is to induce a behavioral change in people by removing this insecurity and gaining trust in the government. We implement a big idea through a marketing strategy, Project Appeal, which is aim, place, promote, engage, anchor, and learn. The first step, aim, is defining the objective of the campaign, which is to make people get over their insecurity and lack of trust in the government by showing them that tax will ultimately benefit them. The second step, place, we choose media vehicles that are TV, radio, newspapers, billboards, and social media. Coming to a third step, which is promote, it means making the target segment aware that a behavior change will benefit them. For this, we propose the campaign, Tax Bharein, Befikar Rahein. In this, we'll run a series of communication to create a positive mindset about paying tax.
To gain trust in our Tax Bharein, Befikar Rahein campaign, we introduce the 4th step, engage, where we convince people by giving them an immediate assurance. This is done in 2 ways. First, offering redeemable discount coupons to each taxpayer in partnership with IRCTC, Air India, ITTC, and Big Bazaar. And second, we ask for taxpayers' views on the importance of tax in nation building and publish them in leading newspapers to instill the feeling people like me also pay tax. Once they are assured that paying tax will benefit them, we sustain the behavior change through our 5th step, anchor. In order to increase transparency, we establish an active digital presence on Facebook and Twitter. We inform the audience how tax money is used in developing the nation. For example, in this post, tax revenues from 1,067 citizens made this road construction possible. Travel safe and save fuel on better roads. Tax bharein, befikar rahein. We also establish transparency through publishing in newspapers, monthly tax usage infographics. Finally, the 6th step, learn, we evaluate the effectiveness of our campaigns through 1. Purpose recall measured through surveys, interviews, and opinion polls. 2nd, online and offline engagement. And 3rd, impact on tax collection. This is the timeline of our proposed plan. We launched the Tax Bharein Befikar Rahein campaign in April to run throughout the year. We take the first 2 months to establish partnerships for the reward schemes and distribute coupons in the next 3. We launched a revamped social media strategy in July. We also publish monthly income tax reports to increase transparency. Thank you.
This is something that requires engagement. And all your solutions are media-based. Did you have a look at a scenario where it becomes a movement, where there are bodies of people which are actually communicating and interacting with people?
Most of our insights that we got did not involve that, but one thing that we thought was in the PPT we had one slide where we said that we'll ask a few people to say how does tax payment help in nation building. So that is what we wanted to say, that when we're publishing in media, we publish opinions of common man, not celebrities or anybody. We include common man who are paying to have this thing that I'm not alone in paying tax. You are also there.
One of the pillars of your campaign, which you call Appeal, is this business of being able to transparently tell people what their money that they've deposited as tax is being used at. What do you see as the big challenge there?
The challenge is obviously maintaining these reports and getting continuous feedback of data. But I think if if the system is decentralized locally or probably state-wise, and it tells people of that state that how your tax has impacted your life or your state's life, then this plan will succeed.
Please welcome our second finalist team for this evening, Armageddon from Narsi Monji Institute of Management, NMIMS Mumbai. Armageddon, the stage is yours. You know the rules. You have exactly 5 minutes to finish your presentation, followed by a Q&A round with the judges. Good luck, and your time starts now.
Good evening. We, Team Armageddon, will be presenting our take on the case Max the Tax. Our challenge here is that the Indian population believes paying income tax is a duty rather than an act which is beneficial to them. This mindset is possibly the reason that only 2.87 crore individuals filed tax returns for the assessment year 2012-13, and out of that, 1.25 crore actually paid, a measly fraction of the second largest populated country. The objective we have been tasked with is to design a marketing strategy to increase the number of taxpayers, citizens, to 5 crore by March 2018 by effectively addressing their barriers. Now, if we look at our population, out of the 54 crore working class, organized sector is more or less covered by tax deduction at the employer level, and agricultural income is exempt from taxes. So we are left with unorganized non-agricultural sector, which accounts for 24 crore of the population, 10.7 crore of which earns more than the minimum exemption level. Therefore, our target population comprises of those HNIs, SMEs, businessmen, and self-employed individuals. While risk of audit for HNIs, SMEs, and businessmen is moderate, and the tax evasion is seen as an indicator of good business acumen, for the self-employed, future security is a motivation for saving money. Our interaction with stakeholders, including CAs, CS, salaried employees, and non-tax-paying business owners, clued us in on the barriers preventing people from paying taxes, some of which are: IT department is viewed as a corrupt entity which harasses people in the name of law. Second is the belief that taxpayers' hard-earned money lands in the pockets of corrupt politicians. Therefore, we suggest a revamp in the image of the IT department from a legal entity to a friendly yet firm organization. Another barrier is Indians are hardwired to save money, and taxes are considered an obstacle in doing so. Apart from this, people falling in the lower strata of the income level believe that bade log are still left to be caught, and therefore their perceived chance of getting caught is distant. Therefore, we suggest inducing legitimate fear in the minds of these deliberate evaders. Another serious issue is that people do not see tangible utilization of their paid money. And since taxpayers and non-taxpayers both enjoy the same perks, there is no incentive in becoming a taxpayer. Therefore, we suggest attracting these people by providing benefits. Apart from this, we also recommend financial literacy for people who find the tax-paying process quite complicated.
To achieve aforementioned objectives, we studied behavioral economics theories such as Cialdini's 6 principles of persuasion and took inspirations from various campaigns such as Philippines campaign of shaming non-taxpayers, UK Nudge Unit letters of comparison with neighbors, Public Transport Victoria campaign of plainclothes official to prevent fare evasion. Our marketing campaign starts with the broad objective of revamping the image of IT department and bringing a unified front to communicate the incentives and penalties. Therefore, we bring Mr. Karma, a 35-year-old, friendly yet firm man who is a new joinee in the IT department. He is a well-educated humanitarian and strongly believes in Jaisi Karni, Vaisi Bharni, or what you give is what you get. He rewards taxpayers and penalizes the dishonest ones. Mr. Karma is our foreman for the entire campaign and will act as a facilitator between the IT department and the taxpayers. To fulfill our objective of attracting non-taxpayers, we recommend providing differentiated benefits to taxpayers as rewards based on the amount paid. These benefits gradually increase with tax brackets and comprise of government tenders, improvement in civil scores, preference in government amenities, etc.
To encourage deliberate evaders to pay income taxes, we recommend inducing fear by creating a sense of omnipresence of taxmen, such as, if you think you are beyond the reach of income tax officials, think again. Next customer at your shop can be Mr. Karma. Also, denying gains to people through the means of message framing such as others will get this benefit, you won't, will help in creating an atmosphere of discipline. Apart from these interventions, our digital initiative will consist of Karma app, which will communicate personalized benefits based on PIN code, taxpayer information, rewards, and latest updates. Twitter messages will include sending thank you messages when a taxpayer appreciates government services and regret messages conveying the sorry state of affairs due to tax evaders. Also, introduction of hotline and web tutorials to create awareness regarding income tax filing will be done. Success of our marketing campaign can be predicted by measuring performance against objectives. Out of our target group of 10 crore HNIs, SME owners and self-employed individuals, we expect 7 crore to become sensitized and willing to pay taxes. The breakup is considered on a pro rata basis. We expect 5 crore individuals to file returns, and considering the fallout effect, at least 3 crore are expected to pay income tax, thus enabling us to reach our objective. Thank you.
So I'm just wondering what you were going for, because when you're trying to create a brand, you're trying to humanize the tax department through this personification, which I think is an interesting idea. But I think, tell us about how you want to sharpen that personality that you are trying to project.
When you are shedding money out of your pocket, you don't want to give it to a person whom you do not trust. We wanted to create a relationship between the taxman and the taxpayer first, and therefore we didn't want him to be so friendly that people start neglecting his words. So we wanted an authoritative figure who has a particular liking in the community. So that's why we created Mr. Karma.
Also, we created a face for the department, for the IT department, which is currently considered as a faceless system. So people are very comfortable evading taxes from this faceless system.
There are 5.5 crore people in the organized sector. We have 1 crore taxpayers, 2.5 crore people who declare tax. While that segment is smaller than the 10.5 crore unorganized sector, won't that be a kind of easier target? And can you just take me through your thinking on why you didn't select that as the first low-hanging fruit?
Sir, when we were trying to segment, we also found out a list of government officials which stated that 70 lakh people have not filed for the taxes and have paid a little amount of taxes because of the TDS they have cut from the organized sector, right? So the stats we are being given of 1.27 crore, it is of 2012 and 13. If we are considering 2014 and 15 data which is recently released, it says that 2.29 crore are already paying taxes. We focused that why to target unorganized sector was that if you are not able to target the organized sector, it is not because you don't know what their income is. It is because of the inefficiency or the lack of workforce income tax department is having right now.
It's time now for the final team to face the jury. Please welcome 3 laminators from IIM Bangalore. 3 laminators, welcome back. So you know the rules. You have 5 minutes to finish your presentation, after which the buzzer will sound out, following which you will engage in a question-answer round with the judges. Good luck, and your time starts now.
We are Team 3 Laminators. So does anyone here feel that tax is the best thing to happen to you? God's gift to mankind, maybe? Well, we here will attempt to make that answer a resounding yes. Income tax is perceived as a burden by a majority of our population because of limited personal or social gain, along with a negative portrayal by financial services companies, making people feel that there are just too many free riders in the system. To structure our analysis, we divided our target market into 3 major segments based on potential tax evasion behavior. That is, small and medium business owners, self-employed professionals, and salary drawing individuals. The third segment has minimal opportunity for tax evasion due to the effective implementation of the TDS scheme, and hence we've narrowed down to 2 segments. Chartered accountants are the common influencers for tax-paying decisions for both segments, along with the behavior of local IT department officials for SMB owners and peer networks for professionals. Small ticket cash transactions and non-standardized fees make misrepresentation of income easier. Based on secondary research, we estimated potential tax collections, and with this data, we moved on to conducting primary research to identify the motivations and barriers for these segments.
We conducted exploratory discussion with 50 members of each segment. The responses were run through a concern incidence analysis to identify their must-address needs. The SMB owner segment reported 3 main barriers. First, they felt that by paying taxes, neither did they gain anything, nor did they see any impact on the society. So, really, there are no emotional or social benefit of taxes. Second, multiple publicized cases of misuse of public money meant that they did not want to give a share of their hard-earned money to the government. And third, the lack of recognition for honest taxpayers make them feel disrespected. Interestingly, the responses from the self-employed professional segments were quite different. Their unwillingness to pay the taxes impacted by the behavior of their peer group, fear of local government officials demanding more bribe if they disclose their true income, and I strongly believe that they already contribute to the society through their noble profession. Moreover, we also reviewed Income Tax Department's current communication to identify why it may not be able to change the tax culture.
We decided to focus on the SMB owners segment for our marketing campaign, building upon the insight that SMB owners experience a strong sense of emotional gratification on supporting local poor people financially. Since the impact is visible, we identified 3 triggers to overcome their barriers to tax. First, appealing to their altruistic behavior. Second, portraying taxpayers as heroes of nation building. And third, giving them the power to hold government accountable. We plan to land an emotional message through our campaign titled Your Tax at Work with an inspirational call to action, Zimmedari ek insaan ki nahi, ab zimmedari apne desh ki lo. To bring our idea alive, we'd like to recommend, first, using TVC's national and vernacular dailies and mass posting at transit locations to build awareness and maximize reach. Second, using opinion leaders as imams, gurudwara prabandhaks and popular astrologers to generate positive word of mouth. Third, collaborating with street play groups that perform in high footfall areas. Fourth, using local income tax officials to play the role of salesmen and interact with business owners to highlight government's use of money. And fifth, recognizing honest taxpayers by using government-approved CAs to issue full income tax declaration certificates.
We believe that to change India's tax culture, we need to position paying income tax as contributing to a noble cause that creates an endless ripple in the society. And thus we'd like to reiterate, आओ tax भरें, भरोसा सरकार पर करें और मिलकर दोनों देश बदलें.
जय हिंद.
In the insights that you gathered when you spoke, what would be your specific recommendation in terms of the fulfillment of the promise? Where do I want my money to be used as a taxpayer?
Amongst both the segments that we narrowed down upon, the SMB owners and the self-employed professionals, their needs are entirely different in terms of what they want. So, for example, the SMB owners, their focus was more on the lower level needs. They were looking for basic infrastructure. They also felt that the misuse of public money was one of the major concerns. They felt that since there is a high amount of misuse of public money and the highly publicized cases of corruption, that it is actually their tax money that is being taken by the corrupt officials. This was the focus of the SMB owners. For the self-employed professionals, the focus was more in terms of things like where is the country going? Is our country going in the correct direction? So it's a much more holistic picture, but it is very difficult. They had very strong barriers to paying tax when they said things like, we are already in noble professions such as I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm already contributing to the Indian society. Then why does a farmer get a tax break and why am I not getting the tax break? That's why we sort of moved away from that segment and focused on a larger SMB owners segment. So they had different opinions in terms of utilization of tax money.
I'm not sure how the patriotism piece, which may appeal to some of us, would actually work on a die-hard non-taxpayer.
Ma'am, so the patriotism is essentially the supporting element here. Our focus was the SMB owners who clearly, according to us, all the SMB, like most of the SMB owners were spoke to, were all charitable individuals. So that's why we sort of tried to bring in the angle that if you are a regular taxpayer, you are sort of a hero of the nation building activity, and the change evident around you we'll try to reflect through our communication.
Going forward, what do you think will be the role that technology can play in improving the overall culture of tax compliance?
So in terms of reaching out to the younger audience, probably the new generation income tax payers or the ones who are still going to enter the workforce or have already entered. So in case if by leveraging sources such as social media, using digital media in general to get the message out to them at an early age will help in improving the tax culture in the long run. On the operational front, lot of issues in terms of, for example, SMB owners, so technologies such as having online, your cashless payments, having point of sale systems which help us in tracking down the actual amount of income that these particular segments make. Secondly, we have a non-centralized fee structure for the self-employed professionals where they have private practice. So that can also be efficiently monitored, and that will help in actually calculating the correct amount of taxable income. So tax evasion will definitely be impacted by the role of technology in Indian society.
I would like to invite on stage Anant Rangaswamy, mentor for Lime Grand Finale case study and editor of Storyboard and CNBC TV 18, to come and host a panel discussion. Anant, the stage is yours.
If I can have my co-panelists up here, please. Sudhir, if you can join us up here. Priya, Mr. Singh, and Geetu, and Nena, please join us up here. Getting people to change habits, old habits especially. Like you use the word default. Not paying taxes default. There's so many things which you've had to do in your job at Unilever, change habit. How difficult do you think this challenge is compared to getting somebody to use shampoo? Somebody who's never used shampoo to use shampoo?
I'll talk about two colleagues. One was from Scandinavia. And in Scandinavia, it's a pretty high-taxed country. Yeah, the tax rates could go up to nearly 50% in some countries. The people pay the taxes over there willingly and happily. Right. The reason is very clear, that one is, it's a kind of a welfare state. They look after you very well. Yeah, in terms of education, in terms of medical, in terms of infrastructure. But also you must remember in a context that if you look at the Transparency International ratings of the most corrupt nation, this is inverse. Yeah, the least corrupt are lower down. So it has to be looked at in that context. The other is, I'll talk about American colleagues. American colleagues, when it comes close to filing the tax return, and if they haven't filed the tax return, they literally shiver.
Right.
Yeah. So there is a deterrent on that side. So we have to look at taxes from a lens of the complete ecosystem.
Mr. Singh, you brought up the issue of transparency and letting people know and so on and so forth. Is it practical? I mean, you've been in the government, you've been right at the heart of government also. Is it practical for the government to be so transparent on their expenses so that taxpayers feel that their money is being well spent?
There is a general issue of improving the quality of public expenditure, and he or she being able to relate the payment of taxes to really the quality. Indeed, states from where maximum taxes are collected are not necessarily the best governed states.
Right.
So this relationship does not really work out in a real sense. I do believe that India is one of the countries where the level of compliance is abysmally low.
Nana, if I can come to you, one of the common issues everybody spoke about was the image of the income tax department. Do you think it's possible for the image of the income tax department to improve as well?
I not only would like to believe it's possible, I believe it has to happen.
Right.
We have to have a system by which compliance implemented through our tax officers is one which is seen as fair and just. And I think one of the issues right now is people believe they can buy their way out of a problem.
Sure.
And as a result, we don't see the compliance. So, and there's also the issue rightly raised by one of the teams identified as the lack of resources. In order to ensure compliance, you need more tax officers. So I think it's image, it's implementation, it's the way they interface with the public, and therefore the answer of technology brings its own transparency, are all very important aspects of it in terms of the implementation. But we cannot ignore the sentiment behind the tax-paying aspect. And while I can see the challenges in terms of transparency, I don't think it's something we should ignore.
Gitu, I'm going to put you on the spot in this one. Suppose you get a call tonight from the finance minister asking you to join him to help solve this problem. Yeah? This problem. It is a huge problem, and it's very, very timely, which is why we took up this case. What would it be? Fear, trepidation, excitement? What would you feel first?
I think the insight really is, and it builds on what Naina just said and Sanjeev said, is that I really don't know if the money is being put to good use.
Right.
And then once you know what's that insight, then it's about delivering the product.
Right.
And the product is really, I want to see, good public education. I want to see healthcare. I want to see roads which don't have potholes.
Right.
I want to see the infrastructure, and I want to see it every day. And the moment you are solving for that problem, and you're doing it consistently,
Right.
You will end up solving the issue.
Right.
So you've got to have clarity on what's the insight, you've got to then solve for it, and then you've got to stay consistent. And the behavior change will happen.
So do you think it's a good thought for the government to try and look at income tax as a product that they're selling, so to say, as opposed to, just an empty hole into which my money goes? Is there a case for that? And, do you think it can be projected like that?
Yeah, I think at the heart of it, what we were discussing with the cases is behavior change. And really driving change in the way we behave when we are thinking about paying or not paying tax. So I think it's more about the concept. So it says, make it easy to pay taxes.
Right.
Make it desirable to pay taxes. Make it rewarding to pay taxes. Make it a habit. So make people actually do it again and again and again. And make it easy. So I think if we really actually apply these basics, I think that behavior change model applies whether you're talking about a income tax behavior change or whether you're talking about a product behavior change.
What do you think of, your approach to hiring at Unilever and the talent that's available? Are we seeing bigger problems able to be solved because young kids think differently, they're wired differently, this generation that comes in?
I particularly liked, government tenders to be linked to, taxpayers, which are really lateral, out-of-the-box solutions, which a lot of people who've been thinking about the same thing for a long time don't get. And that's what we get from young people like what we saw today.
Right. On my right, we've got about 180 years plus of experience in, solving various problems for the corporate world and for the nation. And it's apparent at the end of the panel discussion that it's not so easy to find a solution to the challenge we gave these young students. I think it's fantastic that they did as well as they did. And I thank all of you very much for being up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and now I would like to call on stage our very special guest, an esteemed Indian economist and the current Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, formerly an economist at the International Monetary Fund. He's a widely cited expert on the Indian economy, China, and the changing balance of global economic power. Please welcome Mr. Arvind Subramanian.
Good evening, everyone, and it's a great honored to be here. It's such an exciting event here, especially for me now. I'm closeted and in the throes of, trying to produce government documents. So it's really very nice to be in the midst of all this young talent, very kind of entrepreneurial, creative talent. So it's really a very nice break for me to get away from what I've been doing. I also want to congratulate, the organizers, Hindustan Lever, CNBC. This is really a very, very timely topic to discuss. I think it's timely to discuss, obviously because of demonetization, but also, as I'm going to come back and tell you, it's also very timely to discuss because of what I think is one of the most exciting developments in India, which actually relates to tax paying, tax compliance, which is, this game-changing reform of the GST. So both of these, I think, make this a very timely and very important topic. But finally, I think what this event shows and what all this talent shows is that finally it's also a lot about, creativity in order to make this happen. I am absolutely confident that the youngsters and creative people like Piyush will, in the end, have a lot to contribute to just kind of, making it kind of cool and hip to pay taxes. I think that's a kind of marketing advertising challenge that I think that I'm very excited. And here, of course, I think in economics, we have this new field of behavioral theory. I think there are just so many new creative ideas to kind of make this happen. Looking forward, if you think about the GST and all the changes that are taking place at the policy level, and you combine that with all this talent and creativity, I think, we may be on the threshold of being able to really, crack this problem quite decisively. And really, I think that the whole generational shift that's happening, youngsters have a much greater sense of, civic responsibility, being able to, contribute in these ways. And I've been very impressed by that sense in the younger generation. So all in all, I'm extremely hopeful that, use the technology, the talent, and the creativity, and just the demographic shift away from geezers like me, and if I may say Piyush, to the youngsters, I think we're going to be very hopeful in terms of cracking this fairly, fairly difficult problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam, for those inspiring words. And if I may request you to please come back on stage again for the prize distribution. And also joining him, may I request Mr. Sanjeev Mehta, BP Birappa, Executive Director for Human Resources at HUL, Joy Chakraborty and Shireen Bhan to please join us on stage for the prize distribution ceremony. And we would like to have all our jury members on stage for the prize distribution ceremony. Well, the much-awaited moment has arrived. Can we please have all the three finalists on stage as well? So the second runner-up gets a cash prize of rupees 2 lakh, and the team taking that home is Venus 003 from IIM Indore. Congratulations. All right. Now the first runner-up gets a cash prize of rupees 3,50,000, and the team taking that home is Armageddon from NMIMS Mumbai. But of course, no points for guessing. That makes the winner of Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 8, 3 Laminators from IIM Bangalore. Each member of the winning team will be awarded a pre-placement interview for the Unilever Future Leaders program to be a management training at HUL. The team would also win a ticket to the global stage and participate amongst equals at an international level in Unilever Future Leaders League, the Unilever Case Study Challenge, where teams represent their respective countries at a global level and get to meet senior leaders. Congratulations, team. The Lime Season 8 journey is now drawing to an end. It's a wrap on Season 8 of Lessons in Marketing Excellence. From the entire team, we would like to thank the enthusiastic audience for gracing the event, and many thanks to Mr. Subramanian and the esteemed jury panel for being a part of this evening. Goodbye, and a huge round of applause for the winners.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.